My fellow Americans, I want to talk to you today about the wall. As you know, we've been working hard to build the strongest, most impenetrable wall the world has ever seen. But building the wall is only part of the equation. We also need to make sure it's properly guarded and protected. That's why I'm proposing the creation of a new division of the Department of Archetype Security, the Gate Guardian Unit. This unit would be dedicated to ensuring that our gates and walls remain secure and that no one can get through it. The Gate Guardians would be made up of highly trained and skilled individuals who understand the importance of protecting our back row. They would work closely with ban list enforcement agencies to identify any potential threats and take action to neutralize them. And let me be clear, we're not just talking about attacks to both our life points and decks. The foundation is immeasurable. We're also talking about ghost children, which have become increasingly common in today's world, attacking our very hands. As we all know, a Yu-Gi-Oh player's hand is sacred and must be protected like our gates. The Gate Guardians would be equipped with the latest technology and tools to defend against removal and keep our board secure. So let's come together and support the creation of the Gate Guardian Unit. Together, we can ensure that our gates and our walls will remain a symbol of strength and security for generations to come. Thank you.
Hey fishermen, Aqua Duelist here, and I'm finally back with a deck profile. It's been quite some time, guys. I'm so sorry. There's just been so much going on, but regardless, we're back. New deck profile, guys. Hope y'all are happy, and today I'm deck profiling the new Gate Guardian support / Gate Guardian deck. We finally got Gate Guardian support after all this time, and I must say it is really good. It's basically support done right. Gate Guardian should have originally been a fusion. I don't care what anybody says. If you disagree, fuck off. So we're gonna go ahead, jump into the deck profile, guys, and this deck's honestly better than I hoped. It's really freaking cool, really fun, and just really good deck. So starting off, we're playing 3 copies of the Labyrinth Heavy Tank. So with this, you can normal summon without tributing, and you can't attack the turn summoned. You get to basically take one of the Gate Guardian pieces and put it in your spell and trap zone as like a continuous spell. And if you have the field spell out, you also get to pop an opponent's monster. Real quickly, so all of the new Gate Guardian fusions, you can summon them by banishing the materials required from either your hand, field, or grave. So kind of like ABCs, ABCs a little bit. So next up, 3 copies of the new Shadow Ghoul of the Labyrinth. I really like what they did with this card. He is literally a terraforming for the field spell. You discard him, you get the field spell out of your deck, and if he's in the grave and you have the field spell at the start of a damage step, if like an opponent's monster battles, you get to destroy that monster, so that's pretty cool. I think it's interesting that they made a lot of the new support just like remove monsters. Kind of weird, but it could be worse. Next up, 2 copies of my favorite piece, Suijin. 2 copies of Kaizujin, and then 2 copies of Sanga of the Thunder. Not playing Prisma right now. I didn't get my copies of Hero Lives in the mail. They never showed up. I've had to reorder them like 4 days ago. They're still not here, so I just didn't want to play the Prismas and like normal summon them. It's it's still good though. I mean, not as a normal summon, but just Hero Lives, you drop Prisma, you get to send one of the pieces from deck to grave. Prisma takes the name, so you effectively get 2 pieces for 2 different fusions. So it's worth it. it's good. You should play it. I just didn't have my hero lives, so I'm basically making do with the 5 slots that are now open until they come in. So I'll show you guys what cards I would take out for those. So that's it for the monsters. Next up for the spells, 3 copies of the field spell. This card is absolutely nutters. So this basically does the same thing as Labyrinth Tank. This gets you one of the pieces required in the spell and trap zone, and then in your opponent's battle phase, you can pop an opponent's monster with 1600 attack or less. It's very but it's a nice little nod to like the old like Shadow Ghoul, or Wall Shadow. Next up, 3 copies of Double Attack of Wind and Thunder. What's nice is this pops any any card your opponent has, so it's not just monsters. It can be back removal as well. I do like seeing cards that have that utility. Like, was it the one Phantasm Spiral card? I love the fact that it just pops either monsters or spell and traps. I like that, and I think it's awesome that we have that here, especially considering like all the other cards basically pop monsters. So on top of that, it basically can reoccur one of your pieces or get you another piece out of the deck. Playing 2 copies of Ryokoku Guardian. What this does is, if your life points are low in your opponent's, half of your opponent's life points, you target a Gate Guardian monster you control, it gains the attack of how much your opponent lost. This also does the same thing as this with like the recursion or recycling or getting another piece from the deck. Next up, 3 copies of Fusion Deployment. Just really good. You reveal a fusion and you get to summon one of the pieces for it. So you're locked into fusions, but that's all you're ever going to do in this deck, so that doesn't really matter. It's just a free Gate Guardian piece. It's really good. Next up for consistency, 3 Paw of Prosperity. Just really, I mean, it's Paw of Prosperity. I don't need to say anything. If you can't afford it, I honestly would not recommend Pot of Duality or Pot of Extravagance. I mean, you could play Pot of Extravagance if you wanted to, and you would have to play like 3 copies of all the Gate Guardian fusions. I wouldn't do that, though. Next up, 3 copies of Droplet. Droplet's just good, and I feel like in this deck it's actually not bad at all. Especially considering a lot of cards just get you pieces out of the deck into your spell and trap zone. So I just think that's overall kind of interesting. You basically can get a lot of cards to send to negate with this. So this is possibly one of the cards I would take out for Prisma, or the 2 Prismas and the 3 Hero Lives. Another card you could take out if you wanted to is the Ryokoku Guardian. Ryokoku Guardian's kind of like something you'd play when you're losing, so you could get away with playing 1, I feel, but I'm playing 2 right now because I don't have Prisma and a Hero Lives. Next up, 2 copies of Sacred Sword of the 7-star. It's basically trade-in for level 7s, but you banish the card instead. So you can reoccur the banished pieces, so that literally does not bother you whatsoever. Next up for the power 1-ofs, Foolish Burial, Terraforming, Called by the Grave. You could take that out for Prisma or Hero Lives. Instant Fusion, that's probably what I would take out, honestly, for Prisma or Hero Lives. Probably take out like that, the droplets, and the one Ryukoku Guardian. So that's it for the spells. Next up for the traps. So I am doing something a little spicy here. Playing 3 copies of There Can Only Be One. Seeing nobody play this, and I just kind of feel like this is stupidly strong in this deck, and I kind of look at people not playing, and I just kind of want to scream, like, what's wrong with you? Like, not to be, like, mean or rude or anything, but it's just, you never have, like, 2 monsters of the same attribute, really. Like, you barely do. I mean, not attribute, type. So, I just think that this is ridiculously good, and there's no reason not to play it. And, your pieces are mostly going to be in the spell and trap zone, so, yeah. Next up, 2 copies of Prey of the Juragumo. So this basically is one of those cards, or one of those traps that summons itself as a monster, and basically can pop an opponent's card in the same column. So it's more removal. It's not bad. So that's it for the main deck. Now going to the extra deck. We are playing 2 copies of Gate Guardian combined. So this basically, if your opponent activates an effect that targets, you basically just get to negate it. You can do that 3 times. If it gets outed, it floats into OG Gate Guardian, but we're not playing 1 copy of OG Gate Guardian in the deck as much as I want to. It's still a brick. I'd rather just play the Instant Fusion because I got some good Instant Fusion targets. I'd rather just play the Instant Fusion over the OG Gate Guardian. Next up, 2 Gate Guardian of Thunder and Wind. This will grab a Gate Guardian spell, or basically one of your spells for Gate Guardian, of the new spells and such. And then, he floats into one of the 2 pieces. This is Gate Guardian of Water and Thunder. We play 2 copies. He actually makes an opponent's monster attack 0. So that's just, basically kind of like a way to guarantee game. He floats into one of the 2 pieces when he's just, outed. And then next up is Gate Guardian of Wind and Water. He is a spell and trap negate, and he also floats into one of the 2 smaller pieces. You kind of get the idea. This deck wants to float, which honestly is a really good thing. For my Instant Fusion targets, I play the spicy Time Wizard of Tomorrow, and I play 1 copy of Millennium Eyes Restrict. I do like the Pharaoh's Rare. I feel like it's one of the few cards that really just deserved and should be in the Pharaoh's Rare. So basically, it's kind of here to basically kind of be like a second Call by the Grave, or just suck something up. And then this is kind of like my favorite spice card. It's basically nukes the field, flip a coin, heads. My opponent takes half damage takes damage equal to half the attack of all destroyed monsters. If I lose the coin toss, I take it. It's one of those cards that I just I play when I'm like in a losing situation. Most of the times, my opponent will just let it go through because it's like, oh well. It's one of those things where like, oh well, if you call the coin toss wrong, I win, so they don't really care. So yeah, I'm playing some Super Poly targets because I'm going to be side decking Super Poly for this deck. So I'm playing 2 copies of Mud Dragon and 3 copies of Garuda. I am playing Paw of Prosperity. So I just felt like those were honestly pretty good. So that's it for the deck profile, guys. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. I am so happy to see Gate Guardian finally gets support. I really do wish I had the Prismas and the well, I had the Prismas. I wish I had the Hero Lives. If you can't get Prismas and Hero Lives, there you go. You have some really good other cards to play now. So go ahead and harpoon that like button, guys. Harpoon that subscribe button. It really helps out the channel. Comment any comments y'all have. I will see y'all in the next video.